Captain Do-hyun Kim stood tall in his crisp blue uniform, trying not to smile as the alien delegation walked into Earth's first contact center. The aliens looked like tall, blue-skinned people with large eyes that changed color based on their emotions. Right now, those eyes were a curious shade of green. "Welcome to Earth," Do-hyun said clearly and slowly. "We are honored to host the Galactic Council delegation." The lead alien, Ambassador Yong Choi, bowed slightly. Their eyes shifted to a peaceful blue color. "We are pleased to finally meet the humans of Earth. Though we must admit, we were surprised to find intelligent life on a Class 12 Deathworld." Science Officer Hanbai Park, who stood next to Do-hyun, tried not to laugh. Earth being called a Deathworld always amused her. Yes, their planet had storms, earthquakes, and active volcanoes, but it was home. To them, it was just normal. "Please follow me," said First Contact Specialist Jin Woo Lee, stepping forward with a friendly smile. "We have prepared a tour of our facility." The group walked through the clean, white hallways of the center. The aliens seemed impressed by the technology and architecture, their eyes now showing swirls of blue and green. Everything was going perfectly until they reached the main reception area. That's when Ambassador Yonga saw it. In the corner of the reception area stood a large ficus tree in a beautiful ceramic pot. It was Hanbai's pride and joy. She had been caring for it for 5 years, and its glossy leaves reached nearly to the ceiling. The ambassador's eyes suddenly turned bright yellow, a sign of extreme fear. They stumbled backward, bumping into their assistants. There's a tree." Inside the building, Yongha's voice rose to a high-pitched squeak. Do-hyun looked confused. "Yes, it's a ficus. Many Earth buildings have indoor plants. They help clean the air and look nice." The entire alien delegation backed away from the tree. Their eyes were all now flashing between yellow and red. One of them pulled out a strange device and pointed it at the ficus. "Captain Kim," Ambassador Yongha said in a shaky voice, "are you telling me that humans willingly bring Deathworld vegetation inside their dwellings?" "Well, yes," Hanbai answered instead. "I take care of this one myself. Would you like to see how we water it?" The suggestion of adding water to the deadly plant was too much. Ambassador Yongha made a sound like a squeaky toy being stepped on and promptly fainted. Their assistant barely caught them before they hit the floor. Jin Woo quickly took control of the situation. "Perhaps we should move to the conference room. It has no plants, I promise." He shot Hanbai a look that clearly said, "We'll discuss this later." As they helped the ambassador up, Do-hyun heard one alien whisper to another, "They keep the vegetation as prisoners, yes, to show their power over nature." "No," the other alien whispered back, "look at how the science officer talks about it. They treat it like a pet." This led to more yellow-eyed panic among the delegation. Do-hyun rubbed his forehead. This was not how he had expected First Contact to go. Who would have thought that a simple ficus tree would cause an interstellar incident? As they led the shaken aliens away from the reception area, he heard Hanbai muttering under her breath, "Wait until they see the botanical gardens." The day was far from over, and somehow they would have to explain to the Galactic Council why humans enjoyed living with plants that the rest of the galaxy considered deadly weapons. Do-hyun had a feeling this would be the first of many interesting cultural misunderstandings. The emergency meeting room was completely plain, with white walls and no decorations. Most importantly, it had no plants. Ambassador Yongha sat at the large table, their eyes still showing traces of yellow fear mixed with purple concern. "Captain Do-hyun," the ambassador said carefully, "we must discuss the serious situation we discovered today. Our scans show that the vegetation in your reception area produces oxygen." "Yes, that's what plants do," Hanbai replied. She was trying very hard to keep her voice calm. "They take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. It's very helpful." This made all the aliens' eyes flash yellow again. One of their scientists, who had been quiet until now, stood up quickly. You mean you keep these oxygen-producing weapons active while people are present? The scientist's voice shook. How many of your people have these weapons in their homes? Do-hyun looked at Jin-woo for help. The first contact specialist cleared his throat. Perhaps we should explain Earth's relationship with plants from the beginning. He pressed a button, and a screen appeared on the wall. It showed pictures of different homes on Earth, each with various houseplants. The aliens gasped at each image. On Earth, approximately 75% of homes have at least one indoor plant, Jin-woo explained. Many people have gardens both inside and outside their homes. The ambassador's assistant fell out of their chair. Another alien started writing rapidly on a small device, probably sending urgent messages to the Galactic Council. But why? Ambassador Yonga asked. Their eyes were now a swirling mix of yellow fear and white confusion. Are you being threatened? Forced to live with these dangerous life forms? We can help evacuate your people. Hanbai couldn't hold back anymore. She stood up and walked to the screen. No, you don't understand. We like having plants around us. They make us happy. Look at this one. She pointed to a picture of a small cactus. This is what we call a starter plant for people who are just beginning to care for plants. Beginning. An alien security officer squeaked. You mean you train your young to handle these creatures? Well, yes, Do-hyun said. Many children learn to grow plants in school. It teaches responsibility. The room erupted in chaos. 3 aliens started speaking in their native language very quickly. Ambassador Yonga was taking deep breaths, their eyes cycling through every color possible. Jin-woo tried to regain control of the situation. Please, let us show you our research on the benefits of indoor plants. They clean the air, reduce stress, and some even provide food. Food. The entire delegation shouted at once. You eat parts of these beings. Hanbai realized her mistake too late. Maybe we shouldn't mention the herb gardens right now, she whispered to Do-hyun. The ambassador stood up shakily. Captain Do-hyun, we need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. This situation is more serious than we thought. Your entire species appears to be emotionally attached to dangerous Deathworld flora. As Jin-woo led the disturbed delegation to the communication room, Hanbai turned to Do-hyun. Should we cancel tomorrow's tour of the botanical gardens? Do-hyun sighed and shook his head. No, they need to understand this is normal for us. But maybe we should warn them about the Venus flytrap exhibit. After lunch. Through the window, they could see the aliens hurrying down the hallway, carefully staying away from the potted plants that lined the path. One of them was using their device to scan each plant they passed, jumping every time a leaf moved in the air conditioning breeze. It was going to be a very long week of cultural exchange. 3 days after the initial plant incident, a team of alien botanists arrived at the first contact center. They wore protective suits that made them look like shiny balloons. The lead scientist, who introduced themselves as Chief Researcher Meiru, carried many scanning devices. Hanbai met them in the special laboratory they had set up. The room had one simple potted plant in the center, a small, peaceful spider plant. The alien scientists moved very slowly toward it, their instruments beeping. Please explain your relationship with this specimen, Meiru said from inside their protective suit. Their eyes were a mix of scientific blue and cautious yellow. This is a spider plant, Hanbai said. It's one of the most common houseplants on Earth. People like it because it's easy to care for and produces baby plants called pups. The word baby caused all the scientists to back away quickly. It reproduces inside human homes. One of them asked in horror. Yes, and people often share the baby plants with friends, Hanbai continued. She reached for the watering can. Would you like to see how we water it? The aliens watched in fascination and fear as Hanbai poured water into the pot. Their instruments beeped wildly. You provide it with dihydrogen monoxide. Directly? Meiru asked, their voice shaking. Without protection. Yes, plants need water to live. Hanbai explained. Most houseplants need watering once a week. Some need more, some need less. The scientists huddled together, discussing this information in whispers. One of them was drawing diagrams in the air with a light pen. Do-hyun entered the lab, carrying a tablet. "I brought the historical records you requested," he said to Miru. "These show how humans have been growing plants for millions of years." The alien scientists gathered around the tablet, their eyes turning green with interest as they scrolled through images of ancient farming, gardens, and modern houseplants. "Fascinating," Miru said. "Your species has been selectively breeding these life forms, making them different from their wild versions." "Yes," Hanbai smiled. "Look at this." She showed them pictures of wild cabbage next to modern cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. These all came from the same original plant. This revelation caused such excitement that one of the scientists forgot their fear and nearly touched the spider plant. Their colleagues pulled them back quickly. "But what is the purpose?" Miru asked. "We understand growing plants for food, though we use safer methods. But why keep them in your living spaces?" "Because they're beautiful," Hanbai said simply. "They make our homes feel more alive." Some people even talk to their plants. The lad went completely silent. The aliens stared at her, their eyes cycling through various colors before settling on white, pure confusion. "You communicate with them?" Miru asked carefully. "Well, not exactly. Plants don't talk back," Hanbai explained. "But some research suggests they respond well to positive attention." Do-hyun quickly stepped in before this could cause another panic. "Perhaps we should show you our plant breeding records next. We have thousands of years of documentation." As they led the scientists to the records room, Hanbai stayed behind to water the other plants in the facility. Through the lab window, she saw one of the younger alien scientists looking back at the spider plant with interest. Their eyes had just a tiny bit of curious green mixed with the usual yellow fear. Hanbai smiled. Maybe there was hope for cross-species understanding after all, though she decided to wait a while before showing them her collection of carnivorous plants. News about Earth's dangerous plant practices spread quickly across the galaxy. Every major space station received urgent messages about humans and their strange habit of keeping deadly flora in their homes. The Galactic News Network's main headline read, "Humans domesticate Deathworld plants. Are they insane or just brave?" At the First Contact Center, Do-hyun was dealing with a new problem. Various alien species were now demanding special safety rules for human diplomatic missions. The morning messages included requests like, "No plant material allowed," and "All human delegates must be scanned for hidden seeds." "This is getting out of hand," Do-hyun said to Jinwoo as they walked through the building. "Yesterday, an alien trade ship refused to dock because someone saw a plastic plant in the space station's waiting area." "At least it wasn't real," Jinwoo replied. They turned a corner and entered Do-hyun's office. That's when the real trouble began. Do-hyun's office contained his prized collection of orchids. He had 15 different species, each one carefully placed to receive the right amount of light from the large windows. The orchids were in full bloom, their exotic flowers displaying beautiful colors. Ambassador Yama, who had come for a scheduled meeting, took one look at the orchid collection and immediately triggered the building's emergency alarm. Bioweapon detected. The humans are displaying multiple unknown species of deadly flora. The ambassador's voice echoed through the emergency communication system. Their eyes were now a bright, flashing yellow that nearly lit up the room. Within minutes, the entire building was in chaos. Alien security teams in protective suits rushed into the office. They surrounded the orchids, pointing various scanning devices at the flowers. "These are just orchids," Do-hyun tried to explain. "They're delicate flowers. Many humans grow them as a hobby." "Delicate," one security officer said in disbelief. "Our scans show they have evolved complex mechanisms to attract and trap insects. They are clearly predatory life forms." Hanbai rushed into the office, already trying to think of how to fix this situation. Yes, they attract insects for pollination, but they don't eat them. They're completely harmless to intelligent life. Then why do they produce these complex chemical compounds? Another officer asked, waving a scanner. Our tests show they release various organic molecules into the air. That's just their fragrance, Dugin said. Many people enjoy their smell. This statement caused even more panic. The Galactic Council's emergency response team was now demanding that all human diplomatic buildings be quarantined. They wanted to check for what they called chemical warfare flora. The situation got worse when one of the security officers discovered Du Hyun's orchid care schedule on his desk. The officer read it with growing horror. They perform regular water rituals, and something called fertilizing. The officer's eyes turned a new shade of yellow-green that no one had seen before. They deliberately make these creatures stronger. Jin Woo stepped forward, trying to maintain calm. Perhaps we should move this discussion to the plant-free conference room again. We can explain Earth's horticultural traditions in a less exciting environment. As they left the office, a young alien researcher lingered behind, staring at a particularly beautiful purple orchid. Their eyes showed a hint of admiring blue before they quickly followed their colleagues. Do Hyun sighed as the security team sealed off his office with warning tape. He had a feeling the Galactic Council's next meeting would be very interesting indeed. Jin Woo stood in front of the Galactic Council's emergency meeting room. The large screen behind him showed images of Earth's long history with plants. Every alien representative in the room wore a protective suit, even though Jin Woo had promised there would be no live plants in his presentation. Distinguished members of the Council, Jin Woo began. Today, I will explain humanity's relationship with plants, starting from our earliest history. The first image showed ancient cave paintings of people gathering plants. Humans have lived alongside plants for our entire existence. We learned which ones were safe to eat, which could heal, and which to avoid. Ambassador Yang raised their hand. You mean your ancestors conducted dangerous experiments with unknown flora? In a way, yes. Jin Woo replied honestly. Through careful observation and learning, we developed agriculture. This allowed us to grow food instead of just gathering it. The next slides showed the development of farming. Many aliens leaned forward with interest, their eyes showing green curiosity mixed with their usual yellow fear. But then, Jin Woo continued, humans discovered something beyond just growing food. We found that plants could be beautiful. He showed pictures of ancient Egyptian gardens, Japanese rock gardens, and European palace grounds. You arranged them in patterns. One council member asked in disbelief. Deliberately. Yes, Jin Woo said. This is what we call gardening. Many humans spend their free time caring for plants because it makes them happy. The next image made several aliens gasp. It showed someone pruning a bonsai tree. What are they doing to that small tree? Ambassador Yang asked, their eyes flashing between yellow and white. This is called bonsai, Jin Woo explained. It's the art of growing and shaping small trees. Some bonsai trees are hundreds of years old, passed down through generations. The room erupted in confused whispers. The idea of keeping a plant for generations seemed to both frighten and fascinate the aliens. Then came the slide about flower arranging. It showed people carefully cutting flowers and placing them in vases. You remove parts of the plants and display them. A scientist asked, while they're still alive. Yes, we call these cut flowers, Jin Woo said. People give them as gifts to show love or friendship. This caused such a stir that Jin Woo had to wait several minutes for the room to quiet down. One young alien representative was frantically writing notes, their eyes showing more interest than fear. The final part of Jin Woo's presentation covered modern houseplants. He showed images of living rooms filled with greenery, office plants, and indoor gardens. Today, many humans find peace and joy in caring for plants. Jin Woo concluded, they become part of our homes and our lives. Some people even name their plants. This last statement caused Ambassador Yonga to need a moment to recover. The idea of naming a plant seemed to overwhelm them completely. After the presentation, Du Hyun found Jinwoo in the hallway. How did it go? Jinwoo smiled slightly. Well, they didn't trigger any emergency alarms this time. And I noticed 3 council members asking questions about small cacti. I think they're starting to understand, even if they're still scared. Through the meeting room window, they could see several aliens gathered around a tablet, looking at pictures of Earth's gardens. Their eyes were showing more green than yellow for the first time since they arrived. 1 week after Jinwoo's presentation, something unexpected happened at the first contact center. Chief Researcher Myru requested to observe Hanbi's daily plant care routine without wearing a protective suit. This decision shocked the other alien scientists, but Myru's eyes showed determination. I must understand this relationship properly, Myru explained to their concerned colleagues. Our initial fear may have prevented us from seeing the complete picture. Hanbi led Myru through the building's indoor garden. The alien scientist watched carefully as she watered each plant, removed dead leaves, and checked the soil moisture. Myru's eyes shifted between scientific blue and curious green. You treat them differently, Myru observed. Some receive more water than others. Yes, Hanbi replied. Each plant has different needs. Like people, they're all unique. This one likes lots of water. She pointed to a peace lily. But this one prefers to dry out between waterings. She gestured to a snake plant. Myru took careful notes. And you remember all their requirements. For each individual specimen. Of course, when you care for something, you learn what it needs to be healthy. Hanbi smiled as she misted an orchid. The conversation attracted other alien scientists. They stayed near the door, but their eyes showed more green than yellow as they watched. One young researcher even took a few steps into the room. Later that day, Du Hyun received an interesting message from the Galactic Council. Their xenobiologists had made a surprising discovery. Humans had developed a complex emotional connection to plants that went beyond simple agriculture. It appears to be a form of symbiosis, Myru explained during the evening meeting. Humans provide care and optimal growing conditions. In return, the plants offer psychological benefits through their presence. Ambassador Yonga, who still preferred to stay in plant-free rooms, looked confused. But how did this relationship develop on a Deathworld? Jinwoo stepped forward. Perhaps because Earth is challenging, humans learned to find allies wherever we could. Plants became our partners in survival. This idea sparked intense discussion among the aliens. Their eyes displayed a rainbow of colors as they considered this new perspective. Some even began asking careful questions about the simplest, safest plants they could study. The breakthrough came when Myru asked to touch a leaf. Hanbi selected a soft, velvety leaf from an African violet. The room went completely quiet as the alien scientist slowly extended one finger. It's pleasant, Myru said in surprise, their eyes turning bright blue with joy. The texture is quite pleasing. Within hours, the news spread through the alien scientific community. A leading researcher had touched Earth flora and survived. More importantly, they had enjoyed the experience. By evening, 3 more alien scientists had requested to feel different plant leaves. Each one reacted with amazement rather than fear. One of them became particularly interested in a small succulent. The pattern of growth is mathematically fascinating, they said, studying the spiral arrangement of leaves. Their eyes had not shown any yellow fear in over 10 minutes. Do Hyun watched all this with satisfaction. Progress, he said to Jinwoo. Small steps, but progress. Yes, Jinwoo agreed. Though we should probably wait a while before telling them about Venus flytraps, or how some humans keep hot chili peppers as houseplants. Through the window, they could see Myru carefully touching different leaves, making detailed notes about each one. For the first time, It seemed possible that the galaxy might eventually understand humanity's love of plants. 2 weeks after Meiru's breakthrough with touching plants, the Galactic Council made an unexpected proposal. They wanted to create a controlled environment where different alien species could observe and interact with Earth plants safely. Ambassador Yang had volunteered to oversee the project, though they still kept a safe distance from any actual plants. "We must understand this aspect of human culture," Yang He announced during the official meeting. "If humans can live peacefully with Deathworld flora, perhaps we can learn from their experience." Their eyes showed a mix of diplomatic purple and nervous yellow. The first contact center's largest conference room was transformed into an experimental garden. Han Bai carefully selected the most beginner-friendly plants, small succulents, gentle spider plants, and one very well-behaved peace lily. Each plant had its own observation area with detailed information screens. "These are what we call starter plants," Han Bai explained to the gathered aliens. "They're perfect for beginners because they're very forgiving." She demonstrated basic plant care techniques, while the aliens watched from what they considered a safe distance. Do Hyun noticed something interesting as the days passed. The younger aliens, especially the scientists, began spending more time in the experimental garden. They moved closer to the plants each day, their eyes showing more curiosity than fear. One young researcher named Shu-min became particularly interested in a small jade plant. "The leaves store water," they said with excitement. "It's like a natural survival system." Their eyes glowed bright blue with scientific interest. The breakthrough happened when Su-min asked Han Bai if they could try watering the jade plant. The room went silent as the young alien picked up the small watering can. Every other alien watched, eyes flickering between yellow fear and green curiosity. "Very good," Han Bai praised as Su-min carefully watered the plant. "You have a natural touch for this." The success of Su-min's first watering attempt changed everything. Within days, more aliens requested to try basic plant care. They started with simple tasks like measuring soil moisture or cleaning leaves. Each successful interaction built their confidence. Jinwoo created a special training program called Introduction to Earth Flora. The first class had 12 alien students, each assigned their own small succulent to care for. They took their responsibilities very seriously. "Remember," Jinwoo told his students, "these plants depend on you. They're not weapons or threats. They're living things that need care and attention." The aliens wrote this down carefully. One of them raised their hand. "Is it true that humans sometimes talk to their plants?" "Yes," Jinwoo answered. "Many humans believe it helps the plants grow better." This led to a fascinating scene where a group of nervous aliens practiced saying hello to their succulents. Their eyes showed a mix of embarrassment and amusement. Even Ambassador Yang made progress. They managed to stay in the same room as a small cactus for an entire meeting without showing any signs of panic. Perhaps, they admitted to Do-hyun, "We were too quick to judge Earth's flora." The experiment was working better than anyone had expected. The Galactic Council began receiving requests from other alien species who wanted to learn about Earth plants. Some even asked about starting their own controlled garden experiments. Han Bai found Meiru in the experimental garden one evening, carefully measuring the new growth on a spider plant. The alien scientist's eyes were pure blue with joy. "I think I understand now," Meiru said softly. "These beings aren't weapons. They're teachers." 6 months after the first plant incident, the first contact center looked very different. The once plain corridors now featured carefully maintained plants, with both humans and aliens tending to them. Earth's botanical knowledge had become one of humanity's most valuable contributions to galactic society. Han Bai stood proudly in front of the galaxy's first cross-species garden center. The building combined Earth's horticultural practices with alien safety protocols. Large windows let in natural light, and the air filled with the gentle sound of flowing water from small fountains. "Welcome to Earth's Green Embassy," Han Bai said to a group of alien visitors. Their eyes showed mostly calm blue and interested green now, with only traces of the old yellow fear. Here, you can learn about earth plants in a safe, controlled environment. The garden center had different sections for various skill levels. Beginners started in what HFY called the succulent safety zone, where they could practice basic plant care. More experienced alien gardeners could visit the intermediate indoor plants area, which included spider plants, pothos, and peace lilies. Do-hyun watched as Miru, now the lead researcher for the Galactic Botanical Exchange Program, taught a class about watering techniques. The alien scientist handled plants with confidence, their eyes showing pure joy as they demonstrated proper care methods. Remember, Ryu told their students, each plant speaks to us through its leaves and growth patterns. We must learn their language to care for them properly. Jinwoo had become the galaxy's first cross-species plant care consultant. His program Understanding Earth Flora was now required training for all alien diplomatic staff visiting Earth. He had even written a book titled Safe Coexistence with Deathworld Plants, which became a bestseller across the galaxy. Ambassador Yongha made regular visits to check on the project's progress. Today, they'd proudly showed Do-hyun their first successfully grown plant, a small cactus that had just produced a flower. "I named it Hope," Yongha said, their eyes shining with pride, "because it represents how far we've come in understanding each other's worlds." The success of the garden center led to more developments. Some alien species began designing special plant-growing areas in their own space stations. They started with the hardiest succulents, but many were already asking about more challenging plants. HFY received messages from across the galaxy requesting information about Earth plants. Some aliens had even started collecting different varieties of cacti, displaying them in special cases and trading rare specimens. One evening, as Do-hyun finished his daily reports, he noticed something remarkable. The latest trade agreements between Earth and other worlds included a new category: botanical cultural exchange. Earth's plants, once seen as dangerous weapons, were now valuable diplomatic gifts. "Did you ever think our houseplants would become interstellar ambassadors?" Jinwoo asked, joining Do-hyun at the window. They watched as a young alien carefully repotted their first plant, their eyes glowing with the same loving care that humans had shown to plants for thousands of years. In another corner, an alien child was learning to measure soil moisture, while their parent took detailed notes. "The galaxy feared our Deathworld plants," Do-hyun said with a smile. "But in the end, they helped bring us all closer together." Through the window of the Green Embassy, Earth's sunset painted the sky in beautiful colors. Inside, humans and aliens worked side by side, caring for the plants that had once caused such fear. Life from Earth's Deathworld had become a bridge between species, teaching lessons about care, patience, and understanding across the stars.